Most families moving to the Philadelphia suburbs make the same mistake. They confuse best with best for us. And in 2026, that costs you. One tax move alone can add $400 a month to the exact same house, depending on which side of the county line you're on. I'm Jim Stevenson, a realtor here in the Philadelphia suburbs. And if you're trying to pick the right town for your family in 2026, this is the framework that keeps people from making an expensive, looks good on Zillow mistake. All right, here's how this countdown works. I built a scoring system that weights the factors families actually care about, not just opinions and marketing. Schools get 30 points because they're the heavyweight. Housing value and inventory gets 20. Safety gets 15. Taxes and cost of living get 10. Commute and access get 10. Family lifestyle and amenities get 10. And community stability gets 5. That's 100 total points possible across all the categories. Here's a reality most families don't see. You don't lose money because you picked a bad town. You lose money because you picked a great town with one hidden trade-off that didn't fit your life. Like the school district is elite, but the carrying costs are volatile. Or the downtown is incredible, but the commute quietly turns your week into a grind. Or you get the acreage and then realize you're paying the no train line premium in time, not dollars. Now here's the 2026 reality you need to understand before we start. Taxes are not behaving evenly across the suburbs right now. Delaware County's back-to-back increases are changing the monthly payment math for families who used to default to mainline, no questions asked. At the same time, Chester County's stability is pulling buyers west into the Route 202 corridor and the Downingtown-Exton markets. And on top of that, SEPTA rail reliability and express patterns matter more than people think. Because express service changes who's willing to bid in a town, and that changes what you pay. So don't watch this like a prettiest place to live list. Watch it like a decision tool. Because by the end, you should know what your top 3 towns are and what trade-off you're agreeing to in each one. All right, let's start the countdown. Number 10 is Upper Dublin Township, especially around Maple Glen. Upper Dublin scored 78 out of 100. Look, Upper Dublin is what I'd call the logistics pick. It's a stability play. It's not the flashiest, I moved here for the downtown town, but if you want a high-performing district, strong parks, and commuter logistics that just work, it belongs in the top 10. Upper Dublin High School is a top 40 Pennsylvania high school. The high school campus was rebuilt and completed in 2012, and the facilities are impressive. It looks more like a small university than a public high school. The district is AP heavy and very academically strong. Median home price runs about $605. That's approachable compared to the main line. The school scored 25 out of 30. Housing value scored 18 out of 20. Safety came in at 13 out of 15, very low crime. Taxes scored 7 out of 10. You're in Montgomery County, so the effective rate is around 1.6%, and some of that new high school debt is reflected in the millage. Commute and access scored 14 out of 30. You're sitting right at the junction of the PA Turnpike and Route 309. You can get anywhere in 30 minutes. Fort Washington Station gets you into Center City in about 45 minutes. Here's the thing, families sometimes overlook it because it doesn't have the obvious Main Street moment like Doylestown or Media. And if you're moving, it can feel like you're choosing a place you can't explain to your friends in one sentence. But this is one of those towns where daily life is just easier. Turnpike access, 309 access, and you can still get to, rail stations without building your whole life around the train. The trade-off is simple. You're buying the system, not the scene. If you need walk-to-dinner energy every weekend, this won't scratch that itch. But if you want a reliable base for a family, it's a really strong pick. Number 9 is Newtown, Bucks County. Newtown scored 80 out of 100. This is a prestige and safety play with real academic strength through Council Rock. Look, it's easy to understand why people want Newtown. Great schools, it feels polished and safe. Newtown checks that box hard. Schools scored 26 out of 30. Council Rock North consistently ranks among the top public high schools in Pennsylvania. The district is known for high academic standards, strong athletics, and consistent performance. Housing scored 17 out of 20. Median price runs between $900 and $950. You're looking at a mix of 18th century borough homes with character and luxury subdivisions in the surrounding township. Safety scored a perfect 15 out of 15. Newtown is exceptionally safe, consistently ranking in the top tier of Pennsylvania towns. Taxes scored 6 out of 10. Bucks County has some of the highest rates in the region, and Newtown Township's 2026 budget included a $4 million increase tied to emergency services. That's about $13 a month on the average assessed home. Commute scored 16 out of 30, and this is where it gets real. Here's the part nobody wants to admit. Newtown can be geographically awkward if Philadelphia is your daily commute. There's no direct rail station in town, so you're either driving to a station like Woodbourne or Langhorne, or you're living on I-95 and Route 1, and I-95 traffic is not friendly. So who's it actually best for? Newtown is perfect if your work life is Bucks-based, Princeton-based, or you're hybrid and you just want the day-to-day feel of being safe, organized, and high quality. If you're 5 days a week to Center City, this moves down your list unless you're willing to pay in time. Number 8 is Media. Media scored 81 out of 100. This is the Walkable Town Center pick in Delaware County, and it's famous for a reason. You get a real downtown, community events like dining under the stars, and transit access that's better than most suburbs. Schools scored 23 out of 30. Rose Tree Media is a strong district. It ranks in the top 50 districts in Pennsylvania. Pencrest High School is a well-regarded school in the district. The district serves a large population and offers really strong academics and extracurriculars. Housing scored 16 out of 20. Median price is around $700. You're looking at Victorians and Craftsman style homes. Inventory can be tight because people don't leave once they settle here. Safety scored 13 out of 15. Generally very safe, though as the county seat, there's slightly more activity than some of the quieter surrounding townships. Taxes scored 5 out of 10, and this is the big issue. This is also why Media is only number 8, taxes. Delaware County is facing a 19% tax increase in 2026 on top of a 23% increase in 2025. And that matters because a lot of families are stretching to get walkability, so a tax shift doesn't just annoy you, it really changes what you can afford. Translate that bill into a monthly number you feel every month. Commute scored 24 out of 30. Media is near the end of the Media Wawa line. The line now runs out to Wawa, so you often have, really a better shot at a seat than the inner stops. You also have access to I-476 and the Route 101 trolley. So here's the bottom line. If you want a place where your kids can grow up with a real town feeling and you want rail access without the mainline price tag, Media is still one of the best options. You just need to run the numbers with your eyes open. And if you're comparing Media to other Delco towns, treat taxes like part of the mortgage, not a footnote. Number 7 is Westchester. Westchester scored 83 out of 100. This one surprises people because Westchester doesn't have a direct train from the borough, but it still scores high because it's one of the strongest family lifestyle towns in the region. Schools scored 24 out of 30. Westchester Area School District serves a massive population. Ruston, East, and Henderson are all rated A on niche. The district offers robust AP and honors programs and consistently strong performance. Housing scored 18 out of 20. Median price ranges from about $633 to $745, depending on whether you're in the borough or the surrounding townships. Homes are moving though. Average days on market is 14. Safety scored 14 out of 15. Violent crime is 53% below the national average. The family neighborhoods outside the borough are very quiet and safe. Taxes scored 8 out of 10. You're in Chester County, which has maintained more stable millage rates than some of the neighboring counties. Commute scored 19 out of 30, and this is the trade. There's no rail station in the borough itself, so you're driving 15 to 20 minutes to Exton or Malvern to catch the train. Route 3 and Route 202 can get congested during rush hour. So look, Westchester gives you a real downtown with constant activity, restaurants, events, really a town that feels alive. And you still have strong schools and diverse housing options across the borough and the surrounding townships. But here's the thing, if you're going into Philly regularly, you're driving to Exton or Malvern for the train, or you're driving the whole way on routes that can get congested. People fall in love with Westchester and then realize that the commute is the cost that they didn't budget for. So who wins here? If you're hybrid, remote, or you're working in the Route 202 corridor, Great Valley, King of Prussia, even Wilmington, Westchester is a monster value for lifestyle. If you're in Center City 5 days a week, it can still work, but it's a commitment. Number 6 is Downingtown. Downingtown scored 85 out of 100. This is the value champion on your list in 2026. Schools scored 29 out of 30. Downingtown STEM Academy is ranked number 1 in Pennsylvania for college readiness. But here's what's critical. Admission is lottery based, so you can't buy in assuming your kid is automatically in. Even without STEM, you're still in a district with Downingtown East and West, both rated A and A+ on niche. Housing scored 19 out of 20. Median price is around $560. You can find newer 4-bedroom colonials in the $650 to $750 range. That's about half the price of a comparable home in Radnor. Safety scored 13 out of 15. Townships are very safe. The borough itself has slightly higher property crime, but nothing that should really keep you up at night. Taxes scored 8 out of 10. You're in Chester County, so you're dealing with a more stable tax environment than some other directions families are looking. Commute scored 16 out of 30. Train ride is over an hour to Center City, and Route 30 is heavily congested during rush hour. So here's what people misunderstand. They think if I buy in Downtown, I'm guaranteed STEM. You're not. But here's the broader reality. Even without STEM, you're still in a district with really strong ratings and you're getting more house for the money than the main line. And because it's in Chester County, you're generally dealing with a more stable tax environment. The trade-off is commute and congestion. The train ride is long and Route 30 is Route 30. So if your life is Philly-centric, you're paying in time. If your life is Western suburb-centric, you're buying smart. Before we get into the top 5, here's the biggest mistake families make. They confuse best with best for us. If you want help applying this exact scorecard to your shortlist, schools, commute, taxes, monthly payment, book a call using the link in the description or grab my Philadelphia Suburbs relocation guide using the QR code on screen. All right, let's get back into it. Number 5 is Doylestown. Doylestown scored 86 out of 100. This is the lifestyle capital of Bucks County. Doylestown has the kind of town life families want. Schools scored 25 out of 30. Central Bucks West is ranked 43rd in Pennsylvania. The district is massive, over 17,000 students, and offers extensive AP courses, arts programs, and athletics. Housing scored 18 out of 20. Median price is around $650 in the township and $596 in the borough. You're generally getting more house and more yard for your money than you would closer to Philly. Safety scored 14 out of 15. Doylestown is rated A+ for safety, very low crime across the board. Taxes scored 7 out of 10. Bucks County has the highest county millage rate in the region at 27.45 mils, but you can see where the money goes. Parks, libraries, cultural programming. Commute scored 22 out of 30. You're looking at about 90 minutes on the SEPTA-Lansdale-Doylestown line, and Route 611 can be an arduous drive, during those peak hours. So look, Doylestown has walkability, culture, the Mercer Museum, the Michener Art Museum, the County Theater, food, events, and you're tied into Central Bucks, which is a massive, well-resourced district. But here's the thing. Doylestown is not a quick Philly commute town. The rail ride is long and driving can be frustrating depending on time of day. So who wins here? If you're remote, hybrid, or Bucks-based, Doylestown is one of the best places in the region to raise a family and actually enjoy weekends. If you're tied to a daily Philly commute, you need to be honest about the wear and tear. And don't ignore Bucks County taxes when you budget. Number 4 is Lower Merion, especially Ardmore. Lower Merion scored 88 out of 100. This is the urban-suburban sweet spot, the mainline gateway. Schools scored 28 out of 30. Lower Merion School District is an academic titan, and you get school choice within the district. Lower Merion High School is ranked 11th in Pennsylvania. Harriton is ranked 12th. Per student spending is among the highest in the region. Housing scored 15 out of 20. Median price is around $535, but that's skewed by twins and row homes. Single-family homes are typically $900 and up. You're buying location over square footage here. Safety scored 13 out of 15. Very safe overall, but as an inner ring suburb with more density, it's slightly higher than Wayne or Berwyn. Taxes scored 6 out of 10. Montgomery County passed a 4% tax increase for 2026 on top of a 13% increase in 2024. School taxes are significant here, but many families view it as tuition they'd be paying elsewhere anyway. Commute scored 26 out of 30. This is one of the best transit setups in the suburbs. Express trains get you to City Hall in under 20 minutes. You've got the Paoli-Thorndale line plus Amtrak access. Lifestyle amenities are top tier. Suburban Square has Trader Joe's, Lifetime Fitness, the Apple Store, and some of the best dining in the region. So look, Lower Merion gives you mainline proximity, strong schools, and one of the best transit setups in the region. Ardmore adds a real walkable hub and a legitimate sub 20-minute train ride into the city. Here's where families get fooled though. They look at list price. The monthly carrying cost is what matters. But here's what you're buying: time. You get hours of your life back every week because the commute is so easy. If you want city energy without city living, Ardmore is hard to beat. Number 3 is Unionville-Chaddsford. Unionville-Chaddsford scored 89 out of 100. This is the country estate pick. Schools scored 29 out of 30. Unionville High School is ranked 5th in Pennsylvania. 98% graduation rate, STEM-focused curriculum, 85% proficiency in math, 82% in reading. This district is elite. Housing scored 18 out of 20. Median price runs about $670, but that's skewed by townhomes. More of the estate homes on 1 to 2 acres are typically in the $800 to $1.2 million range. Safety scored a perfect 15 out of 15. Semi-rural area with exceptionally low crime. Taxes scored 8 out of 10. The area straddles Chester and Delaware counties, and Chadds Township has a millage rate of 0.5577, which gives you really favorable tax to value ratios. Commute scored 19 out of 30, and this is the big trade. There's no rail station in the area, so you're driving 45 to 60 minutes to Center City, or 15 to 20 minutes to Wawa or Exton stations if you want to take the train from there. So look, if you want land, I'm talking, acres, not square feet, this is where you go. Strong schools, privacy, space, and a quieter pace of life. But here's the thing, there's no rail access. So if you're a daily commuter, that's the trade. But if your work life is in Westchester, Wilmington, or along the Route 202 corridor, or King of Prussia, this is one of the best long-term family environments you can buy into. Lifestyle is sophisticated rural. You have Longwood Gardens, Brandywine River Museum, equestrian trails. You get the retreat atmosphere with elite schools. You're just choosing land over train access. Number 2 is Tredyffrin Easttown, Berwyn and Devon. Tredyffrin Easttown scored 92 out of 100. This is the academic powerhouse with Chester County stability. Schools scored a perfect 30 out of 30. Conestoga High School is ranked 2nd in Pennsylvania on niche and 10th by US News. 97% proficiency in math, 92% in reading. This is an Ivy feeder school and consistently one of the top performers in the state. Housing scored 17 out of 20. Median price around Berwyn is about 1.3 million. Devon is around 1 million. You're looking at homes on half-acre to 1 acre plus lots, and average days on market is 18. Inventory moves really fast here. Safety scored a perfect 15 out of 15. A+ rating across the board. Violent crime rate is 0.3 per 1,000 residents. Taxes scored 9 out of 10. Chester County millage is 5.164. The county has a AAA bond rating and fiscal stability. Commute scored 21 out of 30. Berwyn, Devon, and Paoli all have train stations, and Paoli is also an Amtrak Keystone stop, so you've got access to New York and Harrisburg. The stations are less walkable than Wayne, but the access is still strong. So look, this is where the smart money often lands. Academic dominance with Chester County stability. Conestoga keeps demand relentless, inventory stays tight, prices stay strong. Here's the thing though, this isn't a bargain mainline alternative. It's competitive. The housing market here is fierce. Homes in Berwyn go in days, often over asking price. But here's what you're buying: durability. Families will always chase these schools, and that keeps long-term value intact. You're buying into a school district that essentially guarantees your resale value. Number 1 is Radnor Township, anchored by Wayne. Radnor scored 94 out of 100, and this wins because it refuses to compromise. Schools scored a perfect 30 out of 30. Radnor Township School District is ranked number 1 in Pennsylvania on niche. Radnor High School has a 99.38% graduation rate. Average SAT is 1291. Average ACT is 28.3. Last year, about 500 students took over 1,200 AP exams with a 91.6% pass rate. 3 National Merit Scholarship winners and 11 finalists in 2024. This is the academic gold standard. Housing scored 16 out of 20. Median price is between 1.17 million and 1.2 million. You're looking at Victorian, colonial, and Tudor homes built mostly between 1890 and 1940. Price per square foot runs about $375 to $383. Average days on market is 21. Safety scored a perfect 15 out of 15. Radnor has extremely low crime. One analysis of FBI data showed just 31 violent crimes reported in a population of about 32,000. That's why it consistently ranks among the safest large townships in Pennsylvania. Taxes scored 7 out of 10. Delaware County's 19% increase in 2026 on top of the 23% increase in 2025 is significant, but most families here view that tax bill as tuition they'd be paying elsewhere anyway, and they're saving $40,000 to $50,000 a year compared to private school. Commute scored 26 out of 30. St. David's, Wayne, and Radnor stations all offer express service. You're looking at 25 to 30 minutes to 30th Street Station. Wayne's downtown is walkable. White Dog Cafe, Anthony Wayne Theater, the Radnor Trail, Wayne Fall Festival. This is the only suburb that delivers elite schools, walkability, train access, and safety in one package. So look, you're getting top tier schools, strong safety profile, a real downtown, and a rail commute that actually works. Here's the thing though, you're paying a premium. You're looking at over $1 million for a turnkey single family home, and older homes mean maintenance and renovation planning. But here's what you're buying: demand and stability. When families relocate to the Philadelphia suburbs, Radnor is always on the short list, and even when the market shifts, buyer demand here stays deep. Radnor is a fortress for your investment. So here's the takeaway. Best only matters if it fits your life. Inside every town on this list, the right neighborhood can outperform the right town because school boundaries, tax millage, those details change the math block by block. Now you know the top 10 suburbs for families in 2026. But here's what most people don't realize next. The towns that hold their value best aren't always the towns set up to gain the most value in the next 12 months. I just scored 60 suburbs to find where prices are most likely to jump in 2026, and the #1 market isn't even on this list. It's a Bucks County borough that almost nobody knows about yet, and it tied Exton for the highest growth score in the entire study. Watch this video next because I'll show you exactly where the catalysts are hitting before the market prices them in. See you next time.